If you're new to Idle Heroes, or any gacha game for that matter, you may not realise that a big aspect of these style of games is being pay to win, or at least spending money to get things that you otherwise wouldn't be able to achieve as a free-to-play player. One of the big marketing strategies for gacha games is that they are free to play and free to download, but that doesn't mean every single thing in the game is accessible for free. For example, you can buy resources to speed up your progress, or you can buy exclusive items that are only available for 1 week only. These different marketing strategies encourage players to basically progress at a rate that they feel is successful by competing or comparing themselves to other people. And in a game like this, where there's money involved and there is a market at least that encourages people to spend, you have to realise that there is always going to be greed, and where there is greed, there is jealousy. And the psychology behind these games is to feed on that jealousy and make you view other people and compare yourself to them. And for the developer, they hope that you view the achievements and accolades of other players and hope that you can go ahead and do the same on your account. And it's that illusion that your success can be the same as someone else's that is what makes you spend. So today we're going to be talking about expectation and how to manage your expectation as a player for Idle Heroes or any other gacha game for that matter. When you enter into this game, the first thing you need to realise is it is not your usual game such as Skyrim, The Witcher, or any video game you may be familiar with. In these games, you can just grind and play the main story as you were and just go through and collect the cool rewards, and there's no element of the game that holds you back from making progress. In idle games, you can only make progress at the rate of which you're given resources, and normally this is fairly slow and it's limited by timers, and you have to log in and complete events to get these rewards to steadily make progress over weeks and months. For many people who are used to turboing their way through games, even speedrunners for that matter, it may be unusual to play a game where the literal playstyle is to take it slow, take it steady, and grind and get resources. And it's this mentality that most gamers have, which is they want to complete the game as fast as possible and get the coolest rewards as quickly as possible, that gets you stuck. I know when I started Idle Heroes, I wanted to get as many resources as I could, and I saw all these amazing heroes, and I was itching to get the fantastic rewards. So what did I do? Well, I parted with my cash to buy lots of resources, and I ended up spending my money on really bad value packages to try and get what I thought was cool rewards. Now I look back on that and really regret my spending, but a lot of you players out there may not realise that it's this mentality that if you get locked into it can cause you to spend an awful lot of money that you will probably regret in the future. So as a player, you should expect not to get all the fantastic stuff straight away, but to steadily make progress. And that's why managing your expectations is very, very important. Secondly, when you compare yourself to someone who spends loads and loads of money, you are never ever going to have a team as powerful as theirs. And that's why PvP, at least in my opinion, is a very, very dangerous environment if free-to-play or budget players get themselves caught up in this. Or even worse, mid-range spenders get themselves caught up in it and start spending a little more money than they're comfortable with to try and stay relevant in the PvP scene. Funnily enough, in Idle Heroes, the PvP scene doesn't really matter that much, and for a lot of gacha games, that's kind of the same. There are lots of PvE elements where you can just play the campaign modes and the various trials against the computer, which is actually more gameplay than you do get from PvP arenas. The only thing that makes these slightly PvP would be leaderboards and things where you can compare yourself against other people, but these leaderboards are only there to make you feel psychologically pressured to keep up with other people and spend money. And that's the important thing. When you ever see things like this or game mechanics like this that are unique to gacha games, you should first think, why is this in the game? Does this leaderboard matter? And for that matter, does it even affect me if I'm on this leaderboard or not? Now, some gacha games will reward you for being near the top of the leaderboard, and that's often the case. Look at Void Ark. People can get some really nice resources if they're high up there. And it's this idea that you want to be as good, if not better, than the people on your server that can result in you spending a lot of money. And you can see a trend, I think I've said this multiple times now, that it's comparing yourself to other people that can make you spend lots of cash. And that's why I did the free-to-play series 3 times over. It was so that I could show you guys how to make progress without spending money and give you something to compare yourself to as a free-to-play player, as opposed to comparing yourself to people who are prepared to spend money. But for you free-to-play players out there, I'm not so worried. You guys aren't going to part with your cash. You're not going to spend loads and loads of money. That's really not why I'm making this video, because you guys are, for want of a better term, safe. It's the people that don't have a lot of money but have enough disposable income that they can begin to spend on a game like Idle Heroes. And this is what happened to me when I started playing. When I first saw the packages, and I imagine most of you guys out there did too, when you see these gacha games and the packages they have available, they're ridiculously overpriced. $10, $20, sometimes even $100 packages that you look at and go, well, why would anybody in their right minds spend this? But then you see one promotion and go, well, that doesn't look too bad. And maybe you spend $1. Maybe you spend $2. Maybe next time you spend $5. And then you start getting additional rewards. And you start thinking, well, I spent $5, that wasn't too bad. And then before you know it, you've spent 20, 50, 100. And suddenly you're racking in those VIP points, and before you know it, you've spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on this game. I certainly ended up in a trap like this, and I remember turning around to my girlfriend at the time and be like, you won't believe how much money I've spent on this game in 2 weeks. And when I told her I spent $700 on the game in 2 weeks, her jaw hit the floor, and she just basically turned around to me and said, you can't afford to do this. You're a student. And yeah, student me 3 years ago really couldn't afford to do it. And this is something that a lot of people ask. How much should I spend? What is a sensible amount of money? Well, the way I like to look at it is, what I would say is figure out what your monthly rent is. How much are you spending to live a month? How much does it cost for bills and to keep your apartment or house that you live in? What's your mortgage? Once you know that and you have that statistic, that kind of tells you how much you normally spend every month. Now take that number, and that's how much you should probably spend a year if you want to be a budget player. So let's say you spend $1,000 on rent a month. That $1,000 is how much you should spend across the year. And that's less than $100 a month. That's a lot more manageable than spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars a week. And you can't sustain that. I know when I was spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars a week on this game, I really, really couldn't afford to, because I wasn't thinking long term, because I'd never played this game before. I thought, oh, I'll just spend a few hundred now, I'll never need to spend it again. And that's a lie. Different to many games as well, such as Rocket League or CSGO or even trading card games. Once you have a resource and you're finished with it, you can get rid of it. You can go find someone else who wants it and trade it or sell it in return for additional resources. Such mechanics don't exist in most gacha games. There's no trading function. So once I've got a hero and they're out of the meta, I'm stuck with them. The resources I've put into them, I'm stuck with them. To make matters worse, in Idle Heroes, if you try to undo a hero you've made, you don't get all the resources back, which really sucks. There are gacha games out there that allow you to get resources back, but Idle Heroes isn't one of them. You only get about a third, maybe to 2/3 of the resources you've put in, depending on what the resource is and how much you spent. And that can often feel detrimental. And that's why I often encourage players to go do their homework and go research and figure out optimal paths so that you don't have to go and undo and lose things you may have spent hard-earned cash on. There are packages in the game where you can buy gems, gold, and spirit, and if you're wasting those gems, gold, and spirit on a hero to maybe lock in a stone or reset their skills or whatever, and you end up undoing that hero and losing all those resources, was that worth it? Maybe, if they got you a load of resources in the short term, but if that hero really didn't do much for you and you missed the boat on them, let's say, you're going to regret it, and you're going to kick yourself. So, when you enter this game, you shouldn't expect to make loads of progress straight away, and you, most importantly, shouldn't expect to build every single hero in the game. I know when I review many accounts, I see lots of people making 8, 9, 10-star copies of all the heroes they see on YouTube videos and go, I want this one and I want that one, and they get them all. And then they soon realize that they can't actually level them all up very quickly. And this results in them being disappointed ultimately that they see someone else who has an E5 and has unlocked the void, and the highest they have is maybe an E1 hero. I see it all the time in the comment sections where people are saying, oh, I've only got an E1, please help. And oftentimes, if I even looked at their account for a moment, I could find several mistakes they've made that have slowed down their progress. And for a free-to-play player, that's fine, but if you're spending money on the game and what you're spending money on is trying to make progress, and you're not, and you're still comparing yourself to other people, so you spend more money and go, well, I've spent more than this person now, how am I not making as much progress as them or more progress than them? I don't understand. That's a big problem, because you'll keep throwing money at this game, and it will still end up with you not feeling fulfilled, because you'll never ever catch up to that person who's playing the game either smarter or spending more money than you. And this is one dangerous thing a lot of people get themselves caught up in, is this mentality that they have to stay relevant, whatever that means. And I see it all the time. People spend hundreds and hundreds after hundreds and hundreds over and over and over again just to keep getting the new things and the new rewards. Now, this is often heroes. I've said it before, heroes are temporary, artifacts are forever. So my next piece of advice is, don't worry about the heroes you've got. The only things, in my opinion, that are worth spending money on are artifacts. And it's funny, when I first started playing this game, you only really needed one of an artifact for it to be good. Maybe one demon bell for your hero, or the Punisher of Immortal for your penny. But sadly, the game's been power crept now, and radiant, glittery, splendid artifacts exist thanks to the Almost Workshop, which means you no longer need one of an artifact, but 4 to get it to its max splendid level. And that sucks, because it means you guys are left not only needing to have 1 artifact now, but 4, and they often cost $150 to $200 each. It's very rare that DH Games gives them away for free, and when they do, I will sing the praises of whatever event it is on my Friday event reviews, where we take a look at the event. And sure, if you can get a great artifact for free, that's amazing. But the problem is, there's lots of players out there who know all they have to do is spend 150, maybe 200 bucks to get the top rewards. If you look at Sky Labyrinth, you have mysterious artifact chests available as rewards that you can pick up. So people don't feel so bad spending a little bit of money and getting themselves these artifacts. But the problem is, once you've bought one artifact for 200, are you willing to buy another one? Of course. And it just results in this spending over and over and over again. And that's fine if you can afford it. But I know plenty of people who have turned around to me, direct messaged me, literally sending me their login details saying, please change my password. I cannot play this game anymore because I have just spent far too much money and I'm addicted. Now, that's the final thing I wanted to talk about today, is that addiction exists. If you find yourself playing a gacha game and you've exceeded your expectations, or at least your expectations maybe haven't been fulfilled, and you're pushing yourself far too hard, you haven't stuck to your budget, and you just find yourself in a slippery slope, one thing you have to realize is gacha games are gambling. It's the same psychological tendencies, these openings of getting good heroes, this just one more mentality. It's even become a meme in the community, the phrase, just one more. And this idea that you can keep spending to get this artificial reward that's going to make you somehow better in the game is ridiculous, because there's nothing tangible that you can sell or trade afterwards, unless you want to go down the route of selling accounts, which I really, really don't encourage. And even if you try it, you will not get that much money back, because there is just not a supply and demand there, because there's no one really wanting to buy accounts, and if they do, they don't want to spend that much money, so you will not get very much of your money back at all. So if you're entering into this game for the first time and you're not sure whether you should spend, I would encourage you to really, really watch yourself before you get involved, because it is a slippery slope. I'm sure there's people in the comment section down below who will tell you that at first they were like, oh, it'll only be 10 bucks. Oh, it'll only be 20 bucks. And suddenly it's 1,000. It might sound ridiculous. You might be sitting there at home thinking for the first time, I'm never going to do that. But I thought the same, and I'm sure there's plenty of heavy spenders out there that also did. And they find themselves now, I think I've spent $8,000 on this game now, and for me it's okay because I do this and play this game as a career, but lots of you out there don't have that luxury. So just be careful, manage your expectations and know what you're getting into. In fact, if you're getting into this game for the first time, I'd encourage you to do it free to play, at least for the first few months. Learn how to build an E5, and learn how the game mechanics work, learn the void, learn what to expect, and then once you feel comfortable, restart and play again. If you don't feel comfortable, maybe start a brand new account and try and get an E5 more efficiently next time. And just see if you can hone your skills as an Idle Heroes player before you want to start spending the big money. In fact, most people out there, you don't realize, actually starting on a heroic summons event is the best thing you can do. Most people just start whenever they download the game and stick with that server. That's normal. That's what I did, and I've stuck on that main account forever since. But for lots of you out there, you might not realize that heroic summon events are the best events to start on, because when you get your IH777 and you can cash in those 40 scrolls, it's best to do that during a heroic summons event because there's a higher chance of getting 5 stars. But again, most people don't realize this. They spend those scrolls as soon as they get them and then feel like they're kicking themselves as soon as the heroic summon event comes along because they don't have any scrolls. So that's another thing you need to know. You need to know what events are coming up, whether it's heroic summons, Imp's Adventure, or the like, and just make sure you've got the gems and resources to complete them, because as well, you need to manage those expectations and know what events to expect coming forwards. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about today, guys, in our little talk on a Tuesday, is just what's going on with new players and what you should expect when you enter in. And I know there's a lot of established players out there who would have really appreciated a video like this, just telling them that it's okay to not spend money at first and learn the game before you start spending. And it's just dangerous, so just be really, really careful. If you do find yourself addicted, there are helplines you can call. I mean, I think begambleaware.org might have something that can help you guys out, because at the end of the day, gacha games are gambling to some extent. So if you are finding yourself in a little bit of a pickle and you've spent more money than you're comfortable with, just, yeah, make sure you tell someone as well. Make sure someone in your life, don't keep it hidden, and hopefully find the steps that can get you out of spending and hopefully out of debt, or at least avoid it before you even get yourself into debt. I know that some credit card companies will allow themselves to be used in microtransactions for video games, and that can get very dangerous very quickly. I personally do not connect my credit card to Idle Heroes because I do not want to take that risk. But I know there's people out there, and I know I definitely did apply for some credit cards when I was addicted to this game, and I had to stop myself. I just was there with my phone in my hand on the apply button ready to press, and I just thought to myself, what are you doing? This has gone too far. If you're getting a credit card just so that you can buy a skin for a hero that you really like, that's not smart. What have you become? And that was a really, really big wake-up moment for me. I'd already gone to the full extent of borrowing money off loved ones to try and play this game, and if you even find yourself in that position, really, really take a long, hard look in the mirror and think, why am I doing this? And has this gone too far? Because not everyone has a support bubble around them. Not everyone has the safety. And sometimes you have to be the one that stops yourself before it gets out of hand. So please, stop comparing yourself to other people in the game and just play it, and don't expect to make loads of progress straight away. It is an idle game, and that's the most thing that takes people by surprise. So if you found something helpful in today's video, or you've got something more to share in the comment section, please do let me know. And if you want more of these talking style videos where we just discuss a more meta aspect of the game, please do hit that subscribe button and join me. I'll probably try to make a video like this at least once a week. And yeah, I hope to hear from you guys in the comment section down below. Happy idling!